Hey there, guys. Welcome back to another week of U.S. cyber history. We are at the end of the marking period. So a few of you have reached out regarding your grades and concerns over your grades. I am in the process of cleaning all that up. So if there is something I'm missing, certainly email me. The class is simple. Watch a video, answer a few questions about the content matter to make sure you have an understanding of it. And at the end of the unit, there'll be some sort of short answer assessment, if you want to call it that. Unfortunately, for a lot of you, well, not a lot of you, but a few of you, you decided to use AI to answer your short answer question, which was a bad move because it's a zero. So those of you that did, I gave you a chance to go back and redo it. If you choose not to, that's on you. So please don't use AI to answer any questions. I will pick up on it right away, and I have a ability to check it. So please make sure, again, you are doing your own work and learning the content and materials for the course. So let's jump to this week. Let's go to last week. Last week, you looked at the causes and effects of the Spanish-American War by looking at the textbook, kind of looking at why it started. What did we get out of it? Things like Guam, Puerto Rico, naval bases in Cuba, right? And then ultimately the Philippines, which is going to be a focus this week. This week, you have to go into Edpuzzle. It's the first time we're using it. I gave you the invite link is there. You're going to go in and watch a 10-minute video on the war in the Philippines against the guy named Emilio Aguinaldo. Ultimately, the context there is we went in to help the Filipinos defeat the Spanish. And then we never left. We defeated the Spanish and we said, we're going to stay. And then, of course, Aguinaldo, who we were fighting alongside with against the Spanish, we then turn against Aguinaldo himself, so who was captured in 1901. So in any event, we take over the Philippines. You're going to be watching a brief documentary on that. Secondly, you looked at Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders and did a quick kind of read on that. It's a big part of the Spanish-American War at San Juan Hill and Kettle Hill down in Cuba. It's where Roosevelt sort of gains his military fame and ushers him into the presidency ultimately. With that, one of the, I guess, lesser known aspects of the Rough Riders is that they were really successful mainly because of the Buffalo Soldiers. This Buffalo Soldiers were a African American unit that fought in some of the Native American wars and then ultimately gained fame, somewhat fame, now fame, at the land battle in Cuba. And so they were there with Roosevelt that day. They helped Roosevelt win the Battle of San Juan, like I said, and Kettle Hill. And so, though you're going to be looking at Bob Marley's Buffalo Soldiers. So those of you that listen to Bob Marley, you'll be familiar with his famous song, Buffalo Soldiers. So there's I put the lyrics there with a link to the Marley video, and then also two quick questions regarding the Buffalo Soldiers. There's also a link to the Buffalo Soldier Museum that you can kind of dive into. Finally, you're going to look at what's called yellow journalism, which you read about. Yellow journalism during that time, Hearst and Pulitzer were two guys publishing papers that were competing against each other. And so they sensationalized or exaggerated the headlines in order to sell their papers. And so they ultimately wanted a war with Spain, knowing that that would increase profits. And so when the Maine explodes, they exaggerate the news. So it comes to the term of yellow journalism. Today, we might call this tabloid journalism. More so now, not so much fake news, because it's not that the journalists were making up events, but they were just exaggerating it. So you're going to take a look at some different examples of yellow journalism as well. All of that's wrapped up into this week. That'll wrap up the Spanish-American War. And then we're going to start to dive into World War I next week. There will be a short answer assessment once again when we're done these two smaller units between the Spanish-American War and World War I. And that'll be coming in a few weeks after we get through World War I. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, reach out, shoot me an email. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week.